Welcome in, everyone. Today is December 3rd, 2023, and we're going over some weekly setups for the week of December 4th to December 8th, and go over some flow alerts that stuck out here. And this week, my mic hopefully will not crap out on me, so let's get started here. And we have three we're going over today, so we're going to go over BAC, UPS, and TMUS. So Bank of America, UPS, and T-Mobile. So again, for those that are just kind of tuning into this, I do have a video on how I actually pull the data here, so I don't want to dive into that on here. It'd be a very long video, but let's get started here. So we're going to start with BAC. So pulling up the BAC flow here. These are our flow alerts too. This isn't the overall flow, but you can see we have a lot of ask side call volume here. So what's really sticking out to me are these 31 fives for 12.15. So you got multiple repeated hits here, then you have a volume over the open interest here. So you can obviously see that here there's 31,000 on the day, and we had 3,124 coming into Friday, because this video is being made on Sunday, just for all those that are wondering about the date there. So looking at this here, I mean, we have huge whales, and this is good premium too. And I mean, we have some shorter dated contracts too, but these 31 fives really stick out to me. And if you click on the date there, it'll actually pull up the chart there, and you can see where your whales are entering and all that. So kind of clicking, and if you click on the candles too, it'll kind of pull it up here. So I mean, there's one of them right there. So let me get out of that, go back here. So again, this is what I like to look for in flow. It's clean flow. You can see there's not a lot. I'll show everybody. Let me actually find a bad flow one just for everybody to kind of look at. So like this one's, I don't want to do the volume over it. We'll do this guy. So like you look at Upstart here. And again, this is not a trade idea. I just kind of want to show bad flow. I mean, kind of got some mixed stuff in there. I don't like that. And that one's actually not too mixed, but kind of get the idea. Let's try to find a mixed one. And I'm not going to find a mixed one, of course, but I'm in the middle of doing the video. Let's just look at Alta here. So like this is kind of mixed flow. I don't like that. Congested. If you have to think about it, I pass on it. So back to BAC here. Always going off on tangents in these videos too, so sorry about that, but it's knowledge that people need to learn as well too. So back to BAC, we saw the 12 days out. So this whale's a little more mid, I'd say short midterm on these contracts, obviously, looking for a little quicker move. So again, you can see that whales here. Here's your ask side volume, bid side volume, and I always like to see how much of that volume will carry over the next day into open interest. And nice thing about unusual whales, you can get that right in the morning pretty much. So kind of moving on here, and I will also, and another little tip I kind of like to do, if you click on that BAC, it'll kind of pull up all the flow for that specific ticker. So like I'll kind of look at the options volume here and kind of see what's going on. A lot of calls there, and you can always come down here, look at that top volume on the open on the volume chains. It's going to be a long video. Sorry, everyone. But again, and kind of looking at this, I mean, you'll have expired stuff in here, so obviously we don't care about this. We don't care about this. And you'll have the longer dated ones in here too, so kind of keep that in mind. This is just going to show your top volume chains. And then you got your highest open interest chains here as well too. So again, some stuff's 200 days out, so keep that in mind with that. And kind of some other stuff here if you want to kind of see what analysts are doing. Kind of see we got an upgrade on 1130 to a buy from Goldman Sachs. So kind of just some stuff there. And then you kind of have some key data on the day stats there for BAC. So one thing I like to kind of do, just kind of see the overall volume. And I mean, you can come in here and dig really deep if you want. Look at the net premium, average volume, kind of call put premiums, all that. And again, if you really want to, you can also dig into these candles, come over here, filter it how you want as well. So I mean, I'll always take out the mid and no sides just to kind of get a clearer picture. So I mean, like that's that candle that I clicked on there, and you can see that flow alert coming in there. So just kind of some little tips and tricks with unusual whales there. So, and that's just clicking on any of those candles as well. And then you got your underlying price right there with that yellow line. So going back here, let's move over to the chart now for BAC. So, and again, Unusual Whales does have a really nice charting system. I do use TradingView just because I like to look at the earnings as well. So I mean, I can see how a company is doing down here by their earnings, and if they have a dividend date coming up, or if a dividend date passed. But I'll always kind of check their earnings as well too, just kind of see how they're doing. But let's look at the chart here on BAC. So I have this actually set up on the day chart, so you can see that up there. You can see going back to November of last year, we've been kind of going in this little downtrend, this little down channel, whatever you want to call it. But we actually are breaking up here with good volume, which is nice. The one thing I don't like though is we just had a dividend date, and those who have been trading a while, you know that people will usually buy going into a dividend date, so you could see a small pullback. But we did break out of that channel with good volume here, kind of coming into this little, I'd say, previous demand zone, turn to supply, since we dumped there, dumped there, dumped there. And we were on the weekly. Let's take a peek at the weekly. So again, yeah, coming back here, I mean, back to January of 18. This is pretty good, solid, I'd say, supply now, actually. But see where we go, because we're seeing a little uptick in volume there. So, and macro wise with that too, talks of Fed cuts, bullish on banks, so keep that there. And yeah, so with the earnings and all that, like I will always just kind of see, okay, well, BAC beat earnings by 8.85% there, and slightly ticked up on revenue. So that's, I mean, I'll add that in with my uh, ideas too, just because you can't look at one factor with this. Like, just because there's a line here doesn't mean because we broke it, it's going to go up to the moon. So we can turn right back down. So there's many, many, many factors. So also kind of have a little gap there to fill too. So from 29.68 to about 29.83. So with that whale, the whale's a little more midterm on those contracts too. So I kind of like an entry about this 29. Let's see, I kind of want that gap fill. Let's see, I would maybe look for an entry around this little top of the channel here. Otherwise, if we gap down, I'd like that entry here about the gap fill. So anywhere in that gap fill, but that 29, got 29.22. I don't know though. We got that gap. Where do I have 29.22 here? So okay, I have it testing at the 200. So this is your 200 moving average here. So I had it bouncing about there. But since the whale's a little more short midterm on these contracts, I'd probably look for a bounce here on that trend line. So about 29.77. So I don't know why I had that typed out. Let me fix it here when I post it for everyone. So, and looking at the contracts for BAC too. So they are looking at the 12.15 strike. So again, first thing I look for is that open interest on here. You want open interest. Like, this is garbage. You do not want to be in that, because you are not going to get out of that. So again, this is really good open interest. Any of this, and again, this is a slower mover too. So I'd look maybe to that 12.15 to, let's look at these here. So, and I mean, this is good open interest too. Yeah, either of these three, I would like the 12.15, 12.22, 12.29 strike, depending how long you want to hold, etc. but let's go with the 12-day one. So I mean, I would probably go, if we got to that 29.77, I would probably go with that 29.5 call. And very, very simple explanation why. You want that strong delta there. And so if we'll pull up the 35 just so everybody gets a little better idea. So that delta about 66, and you have very, very small theta on that. You want that delta because this is a slower moving ticker. So come back to the chart here. We're at 30.96. A 47-cent move is a 1.5% move on the day. So this is a very, very slower mover. I like being in the money just to capture that move, even if it is a small move like that, because if you're out of the money, it's not going to be as lucrative. So that is BAC there. So quick view at the chart one more time. Bump it back to the weekly, actually. So again, we're back to really key support resistance area, zone, whatever you want to call it. So nice one, and you have the flow there. So just one more look at the flow here for those. And again, I do like seeing it pretty much being 100% on one side. And again, high premium too, so keep that in mind. So moving on to UPS here. So we have one alert here on the 12:15 155 call, pulling that up, and this is an interesting one because this came in at 12:32 IM Central Time for those who don't know. So coming here, this is actually that whale, and it looks like had some more flow a little earlier, but I do like this. This is, I would say, pretty clear flow. I mean, you got good ask side there, good bid side there. And it looks, let's take a peek at this. So, okay, this is that big candle. Let's take a peek. So, strategy. So, okay, looking probably like a roll. Somebody's rolling these. And even if you have a question, you can always check here on the profit loss calculator too, and it'll kind of build it for you so you don't have to sit and guess. And yeah, this whale is in a bullish trade, so you can kind of see that here by just kind of clicking on these, and it'll just populate that also. This would be a bullish whale, so that's something I wouldn't toss the idea out for that. So let me close that out. And to get to that overview on everything also, you can just click right on there and it should pop into a new window. And if you want to keep that window open, you can always just, keep it up here, switch it to like Apple that way, whatever one you want. So let's go back to UPS. So again, not a lot of options volume on this one, but we're seeing that big spike in calls there and some spike in puts here. So like that, I kind of want to take a peek at just to see what's going on. Okay, some bid side calls, a lot of longer expiration date stuff. So kind of with that stuff, I like to filter that out. Little longer dated stuff, some bid side stuff. So that wouldn't really throw me off, and looks like a bunch of multi-leg stuff. So we could see some rolls going on in there. Not going to dive super deep into that here, but so that is that. And I mean, you kind of can see your top volume chains here. And again, this is a little more mixed, but something just to kind of keep in mind too. And again, looking at the dates, 130 days out. This whale is looking at the 15th, so I don't think they really probably care that much about what's going to be happening in 150 days. And then you got your highest open interest chains here too. So if you want to kind of take a peek at that, just to kind of help you find a chain with good open interest, that's something to do. And again, 400 days out, 400 days out. Don't really care about that. I wouldn't probably do that for a short-term trade, but again, everybody can make their own decisions on that. So let's look at the chains. Now, actually, let's go look at the chart first. Sorry. So UPS now. So, okay. So I kind of drew this up a little bit earlier. Again, this is the weekly chart. I'm going to bump it down to the day. So we have your day. You can see we're sitting at really, really good support here. So this is support dating back to August of 2020. And let's see how we're looking at the volume here. So looking like we're getting a little uptick in volume here, getting some more volume going on here, which is a good sign. And I mean, again, a line on a chart isn't the only factor to look at, but again, solid support here. Bounce, 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 bounce again. We drop there. What's going to happen here? Kind of the question mark thing. So looking at their earnings. So beat their earnings by 2.86%, missed their revenue by about 1.5%, almost 1.6%. And we kind of a macro thing with UPS too. We're coming into the holiday season. Just had news that Black Friday was one of the busiest ones around. So again, good for shipping companies. People are ordering presents, etc. So keep that in mind too. So, and again, this whale was 12 days out. So again, shorter midterm on those contracts. Let's take a look at the contracts now. Pull up UPS. And UPS is a little less liquid here. So let's see. So he's 12 days out. So that 155 could be a possible good one. But yeah, I like this stuff you want to stay away from. I like at least like 1500 on there. Just you want liquidity on those chains so you can get in and out. Like this, you're going to have a hard time. This doesn't even have any open interest. So, and the spreads on these are horrendous. So keep that in mind too. Like spreads here, $6-7 spread, not horrible. I still try to get as close to the bid as I can. But I'm not gonna, let's see what's here. Yeah, junk. Just clicked on that one. Yeah, junk. Yeah, I'm not gonna give a specific contract on here. I don't want to give one out just because we don't want to pump contracts and elevate the price. So that's one thing also to watch for is these lower ones because somebody can pump that price up. So again, something with a good open interest, I will let everybody pick. I'm not gonna give a specific contract. So, but there's two ways I would like to possibly take this trade. So let me get back to the chart here. So two ways you could trade this since he's more midterm, short term. Could look for, I would take this on a momentum entry up almost. I would take this maybe with a break over, let's see. So where are we at here? 154. I'd take this with a break. I mean, about 155, 155, 7-ish, 155, 155.07. Otherwise, if we got a pullback, I would like kind of like this little area for a buy area. So 152.26-ish maybe. 52 just in here. I mean, and again, and this is where kind of understanding what the whale's view on the contracts are. He's a little more shorter term, midterm, so can be a little more aggressive versus somebody that's like 90 days out. So that is UPS there. Now let's move over to T-Mobile. So T-Mobile, TMUS. So we got two repeated hits here, and these are in the money right now. So to me, this whale probably wants to exercise these, I would assume. So 19 days out. So again, these are the 12, 22, 152, 5 calls. So let's take a peek at these. Yep, very end. Let me just come back here quick. So we got 2 times here, 1127, 1147. And again, good premium, very low open interest. So this is a whale that's opening a position. So looking here, 11:27, you can see your timing up here in the box. Another one, and that ask side volume versus that bid side volume. And again, can check that in the morning, see how much carries over. It's a way to check to see if they did exercise too. So you didn't see a lot of that volume carry over. That's not a good sign. So that is, and this is a very, very clear flow, which I like. So let's do it this way so I can show everybody. Move that to TMUS. Options volume here. So, I mean, a little more mixed here, I'd say. But again, this is the entire options volume for the day because you're looking at stuff that's 400 days out, 75 days out, 12 days out. So keep that in mind. Got your stats over here you can look at. See, did we get analyst upgrade on the 29th from Wells Fargo? Just, I mean, you look at their upgrades, they're pretty good, it looks like. And again, just because something is upgraded doesn't mean it's going to run to the moon. So keep that in mind. So looking at your top volume chains, a lot of ask side. So ask side calls, some ask side puts. So again, everything, and again, keep the dates in mind too. Some of these whales are obviously more longer term, but so let's look at so we had our alert here. So alert there again. Bump over to the chart here. Let's look at T-Mobile. So a couple of things on this chart. So you can see we're obviously in a clear uptrend, kind of breaking out of this little channel here. And again, looking at your volume here, good volume, above average, and that is the moving average on the volume. So we're above the typical average. So breaking out of that little channel there. And if you look at T-Mobile too, we're pretty much back to all-time highs on T-Mobile. So just kind of going back to November of last year in this little kind of downtrend, breaking up above it right here, and there we are again. So I try not to draw too many lines on the charts because you can get really messy, but just kind of looking at the basics, just basics, make it simple for yourself. You don't need 10,000 lines or anything, but good volume. Only thing I don't like is that RSI is getting a little hot. Excuse me there. So I'd like a retest at the top of this channel, I think. So I would like, let's see, what do we got? 150, 62-ish about here. So looks like it's good support here. So if I did 152, let's say 150, 62. So I mean, you look at that, that's me not knowing how to draw. I'm just straight line here. So 150, 62, I said. Let's see. So about, I mean, you're right there at the top of that trend line there, and got good support here. So good spot there, and ended up doing 150.49, but 150.49, I mean, just right there. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, but keep that in mind. So let's look at the chains. Actually, let's touch on the earnings first. So again, beat earnings by 6%, almost 7%, missed revenue by about 0.5%. So again, macro wise too, I kind of like seasonality on here. People are out buying Christmas presents, phones, etc. So keep that in mind as well. And so whale, what were we? 19 days. So he's a little more, I'd say midterm, just mid, maybe a teeny bit longer, but 19 days, I mean, and being in the money, he's probably trying to exercise this. So let's look at the contracts. So T-Mobile. So again, not a lot. Let's go to his chain. So 19 days. And he was looking at the 152.5. So that's right where he is. Actually, he's not in the money yet. Let's see. I mean, 1,200, that's probably going to carry over, I would assume. We'll see in the morning, obviously. Come back, and this should be updated, and you can check in on unusual whales as well. Let's see if I can find... Actually, the 119s, I believe, had. So this would be almost a little longer than I'd like, but looking at these chains, I mean, you have good open interest here. This is the main thing that you need to care about for a contract. Otherwise, you get in something like this, you're going to get burned. But so those 119s, so you look at these junk. I mean, that not horrible, but in the money and more expensive. 19 days. Junk, not bad, but I would watch the spreads on that. 12 days. 155s could be good with that, but you're getting under that whale's contract then. So, because he's looking at the 1222. So, I at least like to get where that whale is and kind of see what's going on there. So, I like those. Where's those 119s again? So, yeah, either, I mean, could almost go 155 because if you get a better entry on there, that price will drop, obviously. And you have a good delta. Even that delta is 0.38, not horrible. So you're getting a 38-cent move on the contract per dollar move of the stock. So keep that in mind there. So that 155 would probably be good if you're a bigger trader too, and if you're not, it's okay. But obviously, the closer you get to the money, that delta picks up. So that, and let's take a peek because I kind of like to see what's going on in the week too. So kind of over for the week. I mean, you have your factory orders on Monday, JOLTS openings on Tuesday. That's a big one. Your trade balance, ADP data, your weekly initial and continuing claims, consumer credit change. That'll be an interesting one. And Friday, non-farm unemployment and consumer sentiment. So keep that in mind as well. I always watch that too. But that is all I have this week. And again, please keep in mind, always do your own research. This is not financial advice. This is just ideas that I'm seeing that could potentially work out. Also, a couple more other notes for those interested in learning more too. I actually post pretty much these setups every night, but in Discord especially. I will drop a Discord link, and if you're interested in trying unusual whales as well, please, I do have a referral code that will save you some money as well. So I will drop both links in the description below. Otherwise, that is all I have for today. Hope everybody has a great week and trade smart. Have a good day, everyone.